Sankirtana ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagachatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Janasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Rindavaneshwari Shabanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Vipa Sindhu Bevacha Adidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome. Everybody is sitting so far. I must be scared. I have no tomatoes to throw, I promise. So, today we'll discuss the glories of Advaita Acharya. So, Srila Prabhupada gave us this greatest gift, which is introducing us to Panchatattva. When he first was giving classes in New York City, the first altar he arranged, there was a picture of Panchatattva there. And he established in all of our temples this worship of Gaurnitai and Panchatattva for very important reasons, as we'll see. We've been studying one personality so far. This will be the second of the Panchatattva. And in a few weeks we'll discuss Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But it's very, very auspicious for us. So, when somebody gives us a gift, what is our natural response in receiving a gift? Thank you. Some appreciation. And the greater the gift, the greater the response. You can imagine if we had lived for many, many years in our life without the ability to see, blind. And everybody was speaking about the beautiful sights of the world and the beautiful blue skies and, rolling hills and blue waters, and none of that we could see. We would be lamenting. And if then one day some doctor came to us and gave us the ability to see, what would be our mood towards that person?
Grateful.
We'd be grateful. We'd have so much. Would there be a day that would pass that we would not remember that person who gave us this gift of vision, this ability to see? Because it's so important in our life, we appreciate that gift. Right? So like that, there are many personalities in our life who give us a great gift. We see in this opening verse of our invocation, Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guru is opening our eyes with the torch of knowledge, giving us the ability to see. So we have great love for our spiritual masters, our gurus. And we'll see today how Advaita Acharya should be also the recipient of our great love, gratitude, respect, and admiration. Because of the great gift he gave all of us. And by having a discussion on the glories of Advaita Acharya, we hope that we'll at least remember and be thankful for this extraordinary gift that he has given us. So, Panchatattva. These are 5 personalities. So who are the Panchatattva's? 1, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 2, Lord Nityananda. Advaita Acharya. Gadadhar Pandit. And Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur. So 5 personalities. Right? And these 5 personalities explained are extraordinarily important for us in our process of devotional service. Bhakti is a process. It is not like a light switch, I just turn it on. Developing this love of God, this bhakti, is a process. And through that process, we're going to face ups and downs, some very enlivening moments and maybe some moments of challenge and obstacles. And we'll find moments of confusion, needing guidance, direction. And our Acharyas comment that surrendering to Panchatattva gives us great potency and ability to make progress in devotional service. And thus, before we chant the holy names of the Lord, we chant the mantra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we chant our pranams to the Panchatattva. Right? So, who are the Panchatattva? So Panchatattva, we have in our invocation verse, this Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So there are 5 personalities in this Panchatattva. The first is Bhakta Rupa. That is Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. So the Panchatattva says Krishna manifests himself in 5 forms for the purpose of propagating bhakti. And so he comes. One is Bhakta Rupa, which is very important. That Krishna himself comes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Not an expansion or an incarnation, but it is Krishna himself. And we'll see why in a moment. But that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is Bhakta Rupa. Then we have Bhakta Swarup. That is Lord Nityananda, who is the expansion of Krishna. As we know, Krishna's first expansion is Lord Balaram. And Lord Nityananda is non-different from Lord Balaram. They are the same. Lord Nityananda is not an expansion of Balaram. It is Balaram appearing. Just as Krishna is appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's a difference. Then we have Bhakta Avatar. His incarnation as a devotee. So he comes as a devotee, he expansion as a devotee, and he incarnates as a devotee. And that is Advaita Acharya. So he is Bhakta Avatar. So we have Bhakta Rupa, Bhakta Sarupa, and Bhakta Avatar. So these three personalities are of Vishnu Tattva, which means they are non-different from Krishna. They may display different personalities, but they are fully potent. That is Vishnu Tattva. Then we have Bhakta Shakti. That is Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit is the internal and pleasure potency of Krishna. Gadadhar Pandit is a former Srimati Radharani in a particular mood. And then we have Srivas Thakur, who is the pure devotee of the Lord. So like this we have 5. So of the 5, 3 are Vishnu Tattvas. That's why if you look closely, you'll see on the altar today they were offering Abhishek to Panchatattva in Mayapur Dham. But to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya, you'll see tulsi leaves offered to the feet of Krishna, but you won't see on Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur. So this is Panchatattva, very important personalities in our process of bhakti. So in a few weeks we'll be discussing the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and discussing more about him, about the external reasons and internal reasons he appeared. But today we'll discuss the great glories of Advaita Acharya. Okay. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes in chapter 6, the meaning of Advaita Acharya. Why he's called Advaita Acharya. First, he's called Advaita because he is non-different from Hari. He is one and the same with Krishna. So, Advaita Acharya is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. He is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. He is also in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that he is in form of Sadashiva. And there's one nice pastime that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Advaita Acharya was performing the celebration of Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master's appearance day, he had arranged an elaborate festival. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, nobody other than Lord Shiva could arrange such an elaborate and amazing festival. And so Vrindavan Das Thakur speaks of Advaita Acharya. So we understand Advaita Acharya to be an incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. And actually there is a nice pastime in the spiritual world of Mahavishnu and Lord Shiva meeting and discussing and out of affection embracing. And one beautiful personality appears from this embrace called Advaita. So we have many kind of pastimes, but this is Advaita. And he is called Acharya. Advaita Acharya. Why Acharya? Because he is teaching us the process of devotional service. So Acharya means a teacher, not someone with some just fanciful title or some position, but one who preaches by action, by activity. And so our purpose in studying these acharyas is to take inspiration and to follow their instructions and footsteps, but not to imitate. We cannot imitate these great personalities, but we can follow their personality. So this is a little background on Advaita Acharya within Panchatattva. So it's one of the Vishnu Tattva incarnation. He is Bhakta Avatar. Okay. So Advaita Acharya, we'll talk a little bit about his pastimes, his childhood pastimes a little bit, but we'll speak primarily about two activities. One, how he called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to this world, and why this is the greatest of gifts we could be given. And then we'll discuss the pastime of the meeting between Advaita Acharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the home of Srivas Thakur. Very sweet pastime, and maybe, the time permitting, a few other pastimes of Advaita Acharya. All of which are very, very potent instructions for us. Okay? So, now the importance of Advaita Acharya, Srila Narottam Das Thakur establishes very clearly for us. We've discussed last week in this third verse of his beautiful bhajan. He says, Doyokoro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Balepai Chaitanya Nitai. Tava Kripa, to get the Kripa of Chaitanya Nitai, we must first obtain the mercy of Advaita Gosai, the husband of Sita Rani Thakur. So, we cannot approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Nityananda without first obtaining the mercy of Advaita Acharya. And so we'll pray to Advaita Acharya to have some blessings, because we'll see how it was his extraordinary efforts that brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy to us. And we'll talk in a couple of weeks about the great mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but just as a brief summary, we know he came to give pure love of God, the highest of all gifts. And he gave it with the cheapest of all price and made it available to all. The greatest of things, and made it available to everybody. And we'll see how Advaita Acharya actually asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to do this. And why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving so broadly, we'll see. It was actually a prayer from Advaita Acharya. So we are very grateful to Advaita Acharya for giving us all access to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So Advaita Acharya, he appeared in current day Bangladesh, in the area of Sylhet, in the town of Navagram. And he appeared 52 years prior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you can see there's quite a bit of age difference. So last time we said, or Lord Nityananda appeared 12 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Advaita Acharya appeared 52 years. So there's a 40-year age difference between Advaita Acharya, and thus when we sometimes see, as you can see, him wearing a beard, and a white beard, right? Because he is very elder relative to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. He appeared on the Saptami, 7th day in the month of Magh, and he appeared in the home of Kubera Mishra, and that was his father's name, and his mother's name was Nabadevi. And his name, his childhood name was Kamalaksha, which means lotus-eyed. That was his childhood name, Kamalaksha. A beautiful name. And he was an extraordinary personality. Of course, he's an incarnation of Mahavishnu, so he did very spectacular things in his childhood. He had, mastered the study of Sanskrit. He's the source of Sanskrit. There was no big feat at a very quick age. But he did very many nice things. He was studying in a school with the son of the king, with the prince, and they would walk to school every day. And they would pass one Kali temple. And this prince would offer his obeisances, but Advaita Acharya would not. And the prince would ask, after many days of seeing this, he was pained. And he said, Advaita, Kamalaksha, why you're not offering your obeisances to Goddess Kali? And he said, I am worshipping my Krishna every day. And by worshipping Krishna, I am worshipping all different personalities. Like watering the root of the tree, he says, nourishes all the branches of the tree. There's no need to individually nourish each branch. Like that, there is no need to individually offer like this. So, that is I am offering my respects through my worship of Krishna. And the prince became struck by this. He became so upset. And he had basically passed out in the street. And he was almost on the verge of death. And everybody, and this is a prince, so when a prince goes down, big attention comes. Spread all over Facebook, social media, Twitter was blowing up. And people were worried. So everybody had assembled there. What happened? What happened? And they started to ask Kamalaksha, what happened? And I don't know, he fainted here. What to do? Nobody could revive him. And he said, okay. And he went and he brought some charnamrit from his morning worship of his deities. And he sprinkled some charnamrit on this prince and started chanting the Mahamantra in his ear. And he awoke. And everybody was struck. Wow, who is this Kamalaksha? Some magic he is performing. We know there was no magic. It was awakening bhakti within the heart of this prince. A very similar pastime happened. The king was having some puja, some festival in this Kali temple. And Kuber Mishra, Nabadevi, and Kamalaksha, and all the people had assembled there. And after the puja had finished, everyone had offered their obeisances. But who did not? So the king took note, and he said, to his friend, Kuber Mishra, your son's not being disrespectful, he is not offering obeisances, and it's not good. So his father told him, why are you doing this? You're bringing bad name. When children misbehave in front of parents, parents become very anxious. Right? It reflects on us. So he said, you just offer obeisance. And he said, no, I am watching. He said, just offer obeisances. Kamalaksha said, okay, if you want me to. And as soon as he offered obeisances, the deity shattered into pieces. And let's explain why. Because who is the master of goddess Kali? Krishna, Vishnu. She cannot receive and tolerate the obeisances of Mahavishnu to herself. And so she completely broke into pieces. So he was not offering, not out of disrespect. But he is this great, but people did not know who is this Kamalaksha. So like this, he did many, many different pastimes. After some time, his family moved to Shantipur in West Bengal, near Mayapur. They also had a place in Mayapur near Yogapit. And then after some time, his parents left this world. And so after his parents left this world, Advaita Acharya began to travel all throughout India, seeing all the holy places. And he ended up in Vrindavan. And there he was practicing his devotional service. He was doing his chanting. And one time in a dream, Krishna came and said, I am buried nearby here. Please come get me. Please come get me. Nobody is serving me. And so Advaita Acharya goes to this area that had come to him in that vision, and he unearthed a very beautiful deity of Madan Mohan. This deity was discovered by Advaita Acharya. And so Advaita Acharya began to worship this deity very nicely and perform many sacrifices. Once, when the Muslim rulers were coming to destroy all the deities and break all the temples, Advaita Acharya and the great devotees became very scared. And they awoke and went to the altar to see, and the deity was gone. And they became so fearful and so upset. What happened? What happened? Advaita Acharya was just struck. And in the dream at night, Madan Mohanji came again and said, don't worry. I have taken a very small form, and I'm hiding within one rose on the altar. And so he went back to the altar and found within the rose his Madan. And from that time, he was known as Madan Gopal, because he had taken a very small form to avert the dangers of these thieves. So like this deity is very important. And we know that this Madan Mohanji is our Sambandha deity. We approach Radha Madan Mohanji for our relationship in Krishna, to understand our relationship in Krishna. And when Advaita Acharya decided to return to Shantipur in preparation for the Gaura Leela to begin, he gave this deity to one Brahmana, Parshuram Chube, and he was worshipping that deity for much time. And then later on, we all know that Sanatana Goswami came and took those deities and then established a very beautiful red stone deity paid for by the salt merchant whom he had rescued. So like that, this deity was established and found initially by Advaita Acharya. So when Advaita Acharya returned to Shantipur, there he began his preaching mission. And he began preaching Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and very fervently he was preaching and speaking about all the different pastimes and philosophy of Krishna consciousness. But he was finding it very hard to break people's attachments to their material lives and to their ritualistic worships and this karma kanda process that we pray to the various devatas so that I can get wealth and power and fame and beauty. And so he was struck and he said, now there is no hope to break the clutches of Maya on these lost souls. And so out of great compassion he said, I am just an incarnation of Mahavishnu. That an incarnation was not sufficient. Krishna must come himself to unleash his mercy upon all of us so that we may come to learn how to love Krishna. So he told us that I cannot do it. Krishna himself must come. So I wanted to read some verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. How he called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very, very sweet verses. So we'll just chant the prayers before we read. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining. This is from chapter 3. We'll read a few of these verses. They're very, very sweet. Advaita Acharya thought, if Sri Krishna were to appear as himself, he himself can preach devotion by his personal example. In this age of Kali, there is no religion other than chanting the holy name. But how in this age will the Lord appear as an incarnation? I shall worship Krishna in a purified state of mind, and I shall constantly petition him in humbleness. My name is Advaita. My name, Advaita, will be fitting if I am able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the movement of the chanting of the holy name. So Advaita Acharya desired that he himself could not, but Krishna himself, if he comes, he can bestow upon all of us. And so out of great mood of compassion for all of us, he began a very intense process to bring the Lord to all of us. And he remembered one mantra that was very, very powerful, and how he can bring the Lord. You know, if we want to bring, some king to our house, how we can bring them. That's a big, big undertaking. How we can bring the president or something is impossible. So how Advaita Acharya was going to bring Krishna to all of us. So he says, while he was thinking about how to propitiate Krishna by worship, the following verse came to his mind. And I'll just read this verse. This verse is a very famous verse from the Gautami Tantra is Tulasi Dala Matrena Jalasya Chukena Va Vikrinitte Swam Atmanam Bhaktabhyo Bhaktavatsala. And this verse says, Sri Krishna, who is very affectionate towards his devotee, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulasi leaf and a palm full of water. Now Krishna is saying, he sells himself to his devotee who offers a tulasi leaf and a palm full of water. Anybody is willing to sell themselves to somebody for a leaf and some water? No. Why Krishna is doing it? There we see how bhakti is a two-way street. We speak about surrendering to Krishna. We speak about how we should give everything to Krishna. But when we say sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam, only me, see how Krishna reciprocates. It is a two-way street. He surrenders himself to the devotee. He gives himself fully. And so what this verse, next verse says, Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of this verse in this way. Not finding any way to repay the debt he owes to one who offers him a tulasi leaf and water, Lord Krishna thinks, there is no wealth in my possession that is equal to a tulasi leaf and water. Now, what kind of wealth is in the possession of Krishna? Everything comes from him. Right? Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from him. He is the anadir adir. He's the source of everything. And he says, I don't have enough wealth equal to repay the debt. And so then he says, this is Krishna's thought, thus the Lord liquidates the debt by offering himself to the devotee. Considering in this way, the Acharya began worshipping the Lord. So you can see that when we love Krishna, his love back for us is many, many times more. When he says surrender to him, he is also reciprocating, saying he is purchased by his devotee. But he is not purchased by a tulasi leaf and water. What is he purchased with? The love. He says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya parayachati. And then he says again, Tadaham bhaktya partham ashnami prayatatmana. Bhakti, with love. When one offers their love to Krishna, Krishna reciprocates, offering himself. And with him, what else is there? So, service to Krishna is not a one-way street. Service to the Lord, it is a two-way relationship of reciprocation. And whatever little we can give to Krishna, what he can give back to us. Who wins in that bargain? Right? It's like the child. When the child renders some service to mother and father, and then the mother and father reciprocate back, who wins in that exchange? Always the child. Like that, the devotee is always the ultimate winner in their loving relationship with Krishna. So like this, Advaita Acharya began to loudly chant and call out to Krishna, please come, please come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later explains that when Advaita Acharya was roaring, not just calling, roaring, he said his seat was shaking, a thunderous shaking of the extraordinary powerful call of Advaita Acharya. And that roar was out of love and compassion. You know, when we are in a very compassionate, or very enthusiastic mood, we can call out with great vigor. Like this, Advaita Acharya was calling out with deep compassion and sympathy and great enthusiasm. So when we chant the holy names of the Lord, sometimes We should try to call out like Advaita Acharya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Following in the footsteps. Seeing how he roared for the Lord. Shaking the Lord in his seat, he says. He says, you woke me from my sleep. Like that, very sweet. So Advaita Acharya performed this worship on the banks of the Ganges, offering tulsi and Ganges was water in his palm, and just calling out to the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later said, it was due to the loud calling of Advaita Acharya and the second reason, he says, and the loud kirtan of Srivas Thakur. For that reason I descended in this world. So we are very grateful to Advaita Acharya for giving us this great gift. So after doing this worship, of course, Advaita Acharya is wondering, has he come? Has he come? Has he come? I don't know. And so Advaita Acharya started a school just near the home of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Their home is still there. You can see it. Very nice. We're all walking distance. And so he started a school, and he was teaching Sanskrit and, more importantly, this process of devotional service. And he was teaching, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elder brother, Vishwarup, the elder son of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, was attending this school. And sometimes when the school was going long, Sachimata would send Nimai. Nimai was a small boy, no clothes on. He said, go call your brother. And so Nimai would be, stumbling and waddling. He'd go run into the school. And you can imagine teachers sitting. So Advaita Acharya is sitting, speaking to his students. And this small naked boy is coming, and he's pulling on Vishwarup, come home, mom's calling for lunch. And Advaita Acharya is struck. He was not attracted to anything in this world. But when this boy would come, his whole mind would empty. He would lose, he was just stunned by the beauty of this boy. And he's wondering, who is this child? Who is this child? This naughty boy is doing something, but I'm so attracted to him. So like this, he was wondering. Then one day, he was doing his worship. And so he would meditate on Krishna. And Krishna would come into his meditation. And he would do his worship. And so he's sitting and he's doing his meditation. But Krishna is not coming into his mind, his vision. Who is coming? This naughty little boy. Why this naughty? And he's shaking, opens up, okay, sits back down, is trying to do again. He's getting it. And still this Nimai, this boy is coming into his meditation. He's confused. So he says, okay, let me meditate on Lord Vishnu. Maybe I've changed. So he starts meditating on Vishnu. Still this boy is coming. He's confused. Then just behind him comes Nimai with his friend Gadadhar. So Nimai and Gadadhar come. Advaita Acharya, you're calling? Advaita Acharya is stunned. What? Yes, and the same boy is coming in his meditation, and he says, you're calling me. I'm here. And Advaita Acharya is confused. Then he understands, oh, this is none other. And so he starts to worship Nimai. All the things he had brought for the worship of his puja, he starts offering to this boy. And he starts washing his feet, offering arti and chandan and all these things. And Gadadhar is struck, saying, why this old man is worshipping this naughty boy? What is going on? And he petitions, what are you doing? He says, don't worry, you will soon see who this boy is. And so like this, Advaita Acharya had some faith now. Oh, his prayers were answered. And he understood. But he wasn't fully convinced. So he said, if this is really Krishna, then I'm going to go back to his other home in Shantipur, some distance away. And if it is Krishna, he'll call me. He'll know my heart and he'll call me. So he left and he went to Shantipur. And after some time, Lord Nityananda had reached Navadvip. Some time had passed. We discussed that meeting of Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the home of Nandanacharya. And one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established this Vyas Puja, Lord Nityananda's Vyas Puja, to establish Lord Nityananda's position as Balaram, and very sweet pastime. So as that pastime was wrapping up, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, call Nada, 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 Nada. People are like, who is this Nada? Who is this Nada? He says, you don't know. This Nada was calling me. And he was roaring, calling me to come. You tell him now I have come. You tell him to come see me. I'm like, what's going on? And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells the younger brother of Srivas Thakur, Ramai Pandit, says, you go to Shantipur and tell Nada Buddha, the old man. You tell him, the old man, you tell him to come. I'm calling him. Because of course, Advaita Acharya was testing, is this really Krishna? If it's Krishna, he'll call me to Navadev. So Chaitanya, he wants to test me? Okay, fine. I'm calling him. So Ramai Pandit goes to Shantipur. He's in ecstasy at this point. Doesn't even know. Somehow he reaches. Of course, Advaita Acharya knows. So he's preparing all the worship paraphernalia. And he gathers his wife, Sitarani Thakur, their son, Achyutananda, and they go. So they go make their way back towards Yogapit. This is taking place in the house of Srivas Thakur. So as they're approaching, he tells Ramai Pandit, you tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I have not come and I'm going to hide. He wanted to put a second test just to make sure. So he goes and he hides in the house of Nandanacharya. It seems to be a famous hiding place because Lord Nityananda hid there. Now Advaita Acharya is hiding there. So Ramai Pandit goes. And meanwhile, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nada is coming, Nada is coming, Nada is coming. And all the associates are kind of bewildered. What is going on? So Ramai Pandit says that Advaita Acharya has not come with me. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, go get him from Nandanacharya's house. Of course, he is all-knowing Krishna. He says, this Nada Buddha really wants to test me. Fine, I'll play his game, call me. So Advaita Acharya now knows, this is Krishna. So as he's walking from Nandanacharya's house to Srivas Thakur's house, you can make this walk. It's not so much distance in Mayapur. Very nice. So he is walking and he is saying, I really would like to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his very opulent form. His very opulent and grand form. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, he's omnipotent. He knows, omniscient. He knows, this Nara Buddha wants to see me in opulent form. Okay. So he goes upon the throne within Srivas Thakur's house. He takes a very grand position. He has Lord Nityananda, okay, you hold this umbrella. So Lord Nityananda is holding an umbrella. Gadadhar Pandit is feeding betel nut. And this very beautiful scene is taking place of all the associates. Because remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not reveal himself to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was coming in the mood of a devotee. So he was not showing himself as this worshipable personality. And so but to fulfill the desire of Advaita Acharya, he took this position. And so when Advaita Acharya walks into the room, he sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like this. He sees Krishna. He doesn't see Chaitanya. He sees Krishna. He sees Balaram holding an umbrella. He sees Radharani feeding betel nut. And he is just overwhelmed in ecstasy. He loses his consciousness, faints right there. After so he gets up and he's just struck, and then he begins to worship very opulently. And in his worship, he recites the prayer, this Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanitaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. This we know is the prayer offering respects to Krishna. To Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we say, Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Padayate, Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Godat Vishinama. But Advaita Acharya was glorifying as Krishna himself. So he began to speak that verse and offered his various prayer worships, him and his beloved consort Sitarani Thakur. After the worship, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, now Advaita Acharya, you dance. And they had a very ecstatic kirtan, and Advaita Acharya was just dancing in ecstasy. His wishes were fulfilled. He wanted to test, is this really Krishna? He'll call me from Shantipur. He called him from Shantipur. He'll find me in the home of Nandanacharya. He found him in the home of Nandanacharya. He'll fulfill my desire to have him in a very opulent mood. And also, one thing I missed, he wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to put his feet on his head. And we'll see why in a moment. So like that. So this dancing was going and going and going, and finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stops it. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I'm very pleased with you. You have called me with such sweet prayers. Please ask a benediction. Please ask a benediction. And Advaita Acharya says, why I have to ask you a benediction? You're the all-knowing Lord. You already know what I'm lacking. I don't need to ask you for anything. That is the mood of a devotee. Just surrender to the Lord. Krishna knows everything. So like that, Advaita Acharya says, I don't need to ask you anything. But Krishna says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, please ask me, please ask me. So what does Advaita Acharya ask for? $1 billion? A long life? A Benz in the driveway? No. What did he ask for? His own salvation? No. He asks for the gift that we all are benefiting from today. And the benediction he asks for, he says, my dear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please give your mercy to anyone and everyone, even the dog eater in the street who has no intelligence, the most fallen of fallen people. Please give your mercy to them so that they may experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very pleased with that prayer, granted that benediction. So it is the benediction requested by Advaita Acharya to spread this mercy to anyone and everyone that we are now all benefiting from. So like that took place. But after this pastime, Advaita Acharya was receiving great respect from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was much junior to him. Advaita Acharya had taken initiation from Madhavendra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri was on the way from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri to acquire the Chandan for his Gopinath, his Gopal Didi, he stopped at Shantipur and met with Advaita Acharya, and there they had developed a nice relationship. And so Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri's other disciple was Ishwara Puri. And Ishwara Puri's disciple was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's relationship, Advaita Acharya is like his guru, right? His guru's godbrother. We say guru is like our spiritual father, like a spiritual uncle. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always offering respects, bowing down at his feet, and this very much disturbed Advaita Acharya. He wanted to be the servant of Chaitanya. But Advaita Acharya was an old man and Chaitanya was young, so he would forcibly grab his feet and put dust on his head, and he would play so many games. So Advaita Acharya was not happy. He was very upset about this. So he decided that, I'm going to show once and for all who is master and who is servant. Because this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is playing games. He's always showing me respect, offering obeisances just because I have beard, I'm old. No, he is the master. So he decided to put one ploy on. I don't recommend imitating this. But so he went to Shantipur. And there he began to preach some bogus philosophy. He said, if I preach some bogus philosophy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come and will destroy that. So he started preaching this bogus Mayavad philosophy that, no need for this and that. So, he's preaching like this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, we have not seen this Nara Buddha in some time, this old man. Let's go see him, Nityananda. I said, okay. So they started walking from Navadvip. And they're walking along the Ganges, and one nice short pastime takes place. Okay, I'll just tell it quickly. It's very sweet, very funny. So they're walking, and they see one ashram, and there's one sannyasi there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, oh, who is the sannyasi here? And Lord, some sannyasi, let's go see, let's offer. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda go to the sannyasi, they offer their respects. And seeing very golden, beautiful personality, the sannyasi gives blessings. Says, I bless you that you have long life, much wealth, some good money. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what kind of sannyasi are you? You are offering this? I need bhakti. You're giving this. And the sannyasi starts to become angry. You people in this age of Kali don't know what bhakti will give, how you will eat. And like this, he's becoming very upset. And so Lord Nityananda's passing. He says, oh, don't worry, sannyasi. This is a young boy. He doesn't know so much. He hasn't traveled. Lord Nityananda has traveled around. He knows. He's like, don't listen. Don't worry about him. And so like that, Lord Nityananda pacified the situation. And then the sannyasi brings some prasad. And so they sit and they're taking some fruits. And Lord Nityananda is saying, this Nima, he doesn't know your glories, and thus he was speaking like this, and he's puffing up, so the sannyasi is feeling very good. And so then he says, shall I bring some ananda? And Chaitanya was, ananda? Bliss? Yeah? What is bliss? Lord Nityananda knows. He says, Chaitanya, ananda, this sannyasi is not bringing bliss. He says, ananda means wine, liquor. He says, huh? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, hearing this, runs out of the ashram. He says, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Jumps headfirst into the Ganges to take bath. And then starts running away. And Lord Nityananda said, wait, come back. And so they're like this, running through the river. Like this, there are many bogus sannyasis. Lord Nityananda has traveled everywhere. He knew. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still not there. So like this, they on the way to Advaita Acharya's house, they made one pit stop, actually delivering this sannyasi. By honoring prasad, he became purified from his misconceptions of what is the real gift of life. So as they're approaching Shantipur, Advaita Acharya knows, he sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming, Lord Nityananda says, now let me he pulls out the Vyasasana, and he sits on the Vyasasana. He called many people, and he starts preaching about Jnana Yoga, and this bhakti is not useless, we must speculate and figure out how we can merge with Krishna, and all this he's speaking. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming closer, he's speaking more and more ferociously, and as he's getting closer and closer, really laying it on thick. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is steaming and becoming angry. And he walks up to the Vyasasana, grabs Advaita Acharya by the beard and throws him on the ground. And now like Haridas Thakur is there, Sitarani Thakur. Never seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like this. And then he jumps on the chest of Advaita Acharya and is beating him. And Sitarani Thakur is like, stop, he's an old man, he'll die. And Advaita Acharya is just in bliss. Yes, and he keeps preaching just to take more beatings. And he is beating him. And Advaita Acharya is saying, now you see who is the master and who is the servant. And like this, Advaita Acharya was just in ecstasy. And he would get up and he would say some more, and then more beatings would come. But again, these are transcendental pastimes we cannot understand with our material minds. But like this, Advaita Acharya was very happy to be at the receiving end of the chastisement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he established who is the Supreme. And like this, there are many pastimes. Maybe I'll tell one more, just very nice, between Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur. Because as Acharya, we have to learn. So Advaita Acharya each year would do the Shraddha ceremony for his forefathers. And we know the custom is, after doing the ceremony, your first thing is you give the offerings to the best of brahmanas that are there. So you'd call all the great brahmanas, and at this time also who is living nearby in the cave was Haridas Thakur. So he called Haridas Thakur also. But Haridas Thakur was a considered untouchable personality by our material understanding. So he was born in a mlecha home and was untouchable. So he would never stay inside the assembly. He would always stay outside. So when this ceremony was finished and Advaita Acharya was thinking who to give the first offering to, the tradition is you give to the highest Brahmana. So he went and he gave all the offerings to Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur said, oh, there are all these great, great Brahmanas I cannot take. And Advaita Acharya said, nonsense. He says, feeding you is the equivalent of feeding 10 million Brahmanas. But that was not sentimentalism. That was based on Shastra. So he quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And the verse in essence says that one who has a taste for the holy names of the Lord is the highest of all Vaishnavas. And is considered to have been studied all of the scriptures, has considered to have bathed in all the holy rivers, has considered to have achieved all purifications, and is fit to be guru for the world. But a Brahmana who has all the qualifications by birthright of a Brahmana, but does not have the taste for the chanting of the holy names, has no qualifications. So Advaita Acharya knew that our qualification in bhakti is not based on our birth. It is based on the purity of our heart. And nobody was more pure in that assembly than Sri Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur took a very humble position. But Advaita Acharya showed by offering this first foodstuffs to him. So this was very, very important. So like this, there are many, many other pastimes of Advaita Acharya, but we'll maybe end here because it's getting late. So any comments or questions? Any inspirations? Yes?
That wasn't Chota Haridas, that was like the Namacharya Haridas, right?
What's that?
The Haridas that you just spoke about, it wasn't the Chota Haridas,
No.
it was the Namacharya one.
No. And Chota Haridas is not short. It's just
No, no, no.
junior.
I know, not sure. There's two.
Yeah, two different. This is Haridas Thakur.
Okay.
So what is the difference between Chota Haridas and Namacharya Haridas?
They're just two different people.
No, I mean, what are their significances? That's what I'm asking.
They're two different persons, two different pastimes.
That's it.
Yeah, happen to have the same name. So not to confuse, there's junior Haridas and senior Haridas.
Are they like father and son
No.
or something?
No relationship. No relationship.
It was wonderful that the kind of bhaktas I have to write down. The bhaktas, about the bhaktas you...
The five.
I have to write down.
Yeah, the five, the Panchatattva.
Bhakti Svarupa.
Yeah, Bhakti Swarupa, Bhakti Rupa.
Rupa Svarupa. And
Rupa, Swarupa, Avatar, Shakti, and the devotee.
those are the kinds of the bhakti.
They're not the kinds of bhakti, that's a slightly different concept, but these are the five personalities that came into this pastime to show us the process of bhakti.
Because I read the Bhagavad Gita, and even there it said that there are different kinds of bhakti.
Yes. Yes.
Devotion of the people.
Yeah, a slightly different concept. Yeah, there's 5 different relationships with Krishna, different relationships in bhakti. There are 3 different levels of bhakti. So slightly different, but the concept is these are 5 personalities who are teaching us the process of bhakti. Yeah?
I forgot, what does it mean? Bhakti Rupa is the first, I think, the
Yeah,
first
but
level. I think.
Bhakti Rupa is the appearance of Krishna as himself in the mood of a devotee. So when Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we spoke of the past of him sitting on the throne. That is only seen by very, very few people. Very intimate. His main pastime was behaving as a devotee. So he's showing how to practice bhakti. When he comes as Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he He gives everything to do. Patram pushpam phalam toyam manmana bhavamad bhakto, and ultimately sarva dharmam parityaja mamikam. So he gives all the instructions. But he is feeling that I have told what to do, but I have not shown it. You know, it's like if you tell somebody how to do something, but if you show them how to do it, it's even a deeper instruction. So like that, he comes back himself as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a devotee, and shows how to practice by his own example. And that we'll be talking about in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and his mission, and why the mood of this devotee he came. So we'll discuss that. That'll be the center point of our Pancha Tattva discussion. Now we have covered two of them.
So why are we not taking Bhagavad Gita, and is there any significance of this month or something like that we are speaking about, or we are teaching about Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yeah, because in this time in the month of Magh, now we've had the appearance day of Lord Nityananda. The appearance day of Lord Advaita Acharya was prior to him.
Yes.
We're preparing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we had many other personalities like Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and like that. Many great personalities from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we thought we'd take a little bit of a detour and preparing for Gaur Purnima. So this is a month-long preparation for Gaur Purnima to some degree. So yeah, please.
What does the consciousness of Krishna has in itself?
What does the consciousness of Krishna?
I'm sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
you said before vision.
Yeah.
You said before vision.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what is the consciousness of Krishna?
the people, like in church, the people go there,
Yeah.
pray, or in the what is it? Muslim people go.
Yeah.
They go there, pray there, or the Bible they read, or I don't know. They read different books, but it's different. How you said before, it's different to read, and it's different really to live. Yeah.
Yeah.
To practice.
To practice it.
It's different.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So bhakti is love.
yes.
The meaning of bhakti is love. And love is expressed through service. So if I love somebody, I'll render service to them. If I love my mother, I can tell her, I love you, mother. That's nice. But if I do something for my mother, that is a greater expression of my love. So bhakti is the expression of our love for Krishna through service, through action. So speaking about Krishna is bhakti. It is an expression of our love through the service. Chanting the holy names of the Lord is a service, right? It's a sacrifice. We have to sacrifice our time, some of our energy, our breaths. So that is a service. So that is called devotional service. Like on Sunday, we're going to gather and do practical service. We're going to go to the temple and clean and move some things and do some. That is service. All of that service is not just mechanical, manual service. Our consciousness should be, this is an expression of my love to you, Krishna. You are doing so much for me. You are giving me everything in my life. I am trying to offer something back to you that in some small way of my ability. And so the service should be in this mood of love. It's an expression of my love. So developing this mood of love is what we are trying to do by the practice of bhakti. So when we develop the mood of love, we practice bhakti. And to develop the mood of love is to do bhakti. So bhakti is the practice and the end goal. It's the process and the result. It's all in one. Because as best, at least speaking for myself, I don't have love for Krishna. I have love for so many things, but no love for Krishna. So some hope by practicing bhakti, hope to awaken this love. And so Rupa Goswami says, the sadhana bhakti. The sadhana bhakti, it has the potential to awaken the love in the heart. Because the love in the heart is dormant in everyone. It is not that I have to go find it somewhere. It's right here. So by the practice of bhakti, I can bring out the love. And so this devotional service should be done in a mood as an expression of our love and with a desire to bring out this love. Because there's no greater emotion in the world than love. No greater emotion. It is when you have love, you need nothing else. Unfortunately, we try to find love in all these foolish ways. But real love exists between us and Krishna.
This is true.
Because He is our eternal Father. We are part and parcel. So that is the consciousness of love. Very nice question. Thank you.
Through love. This is true. And doing with love is true. That love we cannot inherit.
It's not rituals. We're not here for rituals. We're not here for some, crazy austerities to put the body through pain. We're not here for, some show of spirituality. Here to try to find love. Love for Krishna. That is the goal. If that is not our goal, make it our goal. And that's what we learn in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And who is giving this Krishna prema? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is giving it freely. And because Advaita Acharya called him out of great compassion and asked for this benediction that it could be given to everybody, we all have a shot at getting it. Thank you.
As I understand, Advaita Acharya was the one who he worshipped and he called for Krishna, and that's how he came in a mood of devotee in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Apart from that, any other thing that we need to, I know we know about the pastimes, but I was just wondering.
For why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came?
About Advaita Acharya, his other...
He did so many things, right? He, again, was establishing this process of chanting. He was establishing the mood of devotees. His interaction with Haridas Thakur show us how we should be approaching, understanding who is a real devotee. He performed one very nice pastime. He would go to Jagannath Puri every year with all the residents of Navadvip. And he would render service. He was a grihastha, and so he would invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to have lunch in his home and acquire nice things. One day he was desiring that, I wish that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come by himself so I could be one-on-one serving him. And so one day he was cooking himself and Sitarani Thakur was just helping. Normally she was cooking, but this time he was personally cooking. And this desire was in his mind. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arranged, so big storm came. So all the different associates who normally accompany Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed home. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to reciprocate with his devotee, even in the heavy storm, came. And in this way he came by himself, and Advaita Acharya was able to very intimately serve him. And so we see that the purity of our desires are always fulfilled by Krishna, right? Over and over and over again. Advaita Acharya was guiding the Sankirtana movement, right? Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda would come, and Haridas Thakur would complain to Advaita Acharya, and he would reconcile that and push them back out the door and get them going like that. So he was a kind of the senior advisor, if you will, to all of this. So, but the main thing we are so grateful to Advaita Acharya is his benediction that he asked of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give it to someone like myself. That is the great benediction we have. So fortunate. And remember, we cannot approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without the mercy of Advaita Acharya. Sometimes in our maybe eagerness, or sometimes in our ignorance, I want to worship Krishna. Just we said last time, right, the half-hand logic. Without approaching Lord Nityananda, you cannot approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Well, you cannot approach Lord Nityananda without Advaita Acharya. So like that, it's important for us to have that consciousness. When we go to the temple, we offer obeisances. Advaita Acharya is on the altar. Where is he? He's in the Panchatattva. We should see him. We should see his feet. The feet of Lord Nityananda. Then the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Panchatattva. And then we should see through.
For getting the mercy of Advaita Acharya, do we again have to go to?
Yeah, we go through.
Then is it like Manjiri or
How would we know Advaita Acharya without the mercy of Srila Prabhupada?
Prabhupada?
How will you know? Anybody knew Advaita Acharya before coming to ISKCON? Hearing from Srila Prabhupada? Anybody? No hope. Srila Prabhupada brought all of this to us out of his deep compassion. So, yeah, we have to go through parampara. Anything else?
Here's a question. How long Sri Advaita Acharya was there in this world, this planet?
I'm not so sure. I know he appeared again 52 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I don't know so much about his departure. I'm just jogging my memory to see if something remembers. I don't remember hearing much either. Not sure. Any other questions or comments? Okay. So we'll chant Srila Advaita Acharya ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki
Jai.